You know, I want to understand what that moment was when you decided I have to talk about this. Because that's the rare part of it. If today I said I'm depressed, maybe people would, because there's such an ignorance about the narrative, laugh at it a little bit, tell me to stop being a dramabaz, they may be a little empathetic. But for someone who's in the public eye, like you, about whom there will be 1,001 theories, cynical theories also, or maybe she's doing it to promote a film, or what does she have to be depressed about? You must have heard all of that, and yet there was that feeling that I have to talk about this.
I'm asked this question very often about, how did you think of it, and all the questions that you asked me. And honestly, I don't think I thought about it at all. I was shooting for a movie called Piku in Calcutta, and my friend Anirban, who's also now a trustee, we were sitting by the poolside one evening, and I said, you know what, I feel like talking about it, And he was like, yeah, go for it, And he's my business agent, He should have ideally said,
Koi picture nahi dekhne aayega
yeah,
iske baad.
like, are you crazy? Like, your contracts are like, no one's going to sign you, or who's going to work with you, or, any of that. And he just looked at me and said, yeah, great, I think you should. That was the friend in him talking to me. And I didn't even think about it. I asked my parents then, and both of them have always been extremely supportive. And, my mom was on the show with us. Because she noticed the first signs. So there was no real thought or, what will people say, or what will people think, or what is going to happen to me or to my career after this. Maybe I should have thought it through, I don't know, but I didn't.
I remember this one thing you said to me, and you said there were mornings that I did not want to wake up. And that is the truly frightening thing. We tend to think of the word depression as a self-indulgence, as the luxury of those who can afford it. But it is actually lethal. Describe that feeling. And how you clawed your way out of it.
It was exactly that. My parents were in town. They keep visiting me at least every month, and now even more often. So it was their day to sort of go back, and they were packing, and I woke up and I have to cross their room to sort of go to have my breakfast or whatever. And I looked at my mom, and I went and sat with her for a bit, and she was talking to me about something completely else, something else. And I started crying, and I've always tried to be very, very strong about it, because I live in Mumbai, they live in Bangalore, so I always try and put up a very brave front, even on the phone. I could have had the most difficult day, but when I talk to them, I literally have to take a deep breath and calm myself down to give them that feeling of assurance that I'm fine. So, we were talking about something, and I broke down, and I think, thanks to her awareness, she immediately said, I think we should call Anna, because she's a family friend, and I think we should talk to her about it. And I did.
Anna Chandy, who's here today. Yes.
Every day was a struggle, And now when I talk to more and more people about it, or people come and talk to me about their experiences, I know of people who've struggled for 8 years, 10 years, 25 years. Some people, sort of live with it for a lifetime. But like I said, it was the worst feeling of my life. And it felt like every day felt like forever. Every second felt like forever. And there were, I told you last time also, there were days where I just felt like, it's not worth this, It's not worth the strange feelings that I was feeling, and I just felt like there was no reason to live.
That bad. You said my mind stopped talking to me. Explain that.
I had no answers, there was obviously no one definite reason why I was feeling that way, but I had everything going for me, and there was no one definite, reason. And I think the most difficult part was not being able to understand what was happening. And that's when you decide to see a doctor, because they're there to help you and to tell you why certain thoughts, why certain feelings, why you're feeling a certain way. But until then, until I decided to reach out, it was my own struggle and my own battle. And of course, there's, you have friends and you have family and you have everyone who's there with you constantly, and they'll always tell you that it'll be okay. But it's hard sometimes, and you sometimes feel like they don't understand what you're going through. People who you're not very close to will always be like,
stop it now.
Come on now,
Yeah.
like, let's watch a movie. Let's go out, let's do something. Stay over, sleep over, something. But no, you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like, maybe sometimes, when you're on a high, when you feel normal, it's not a constant feeling. You feel high and you feel low, and when you feel better, you feel like going out, then you reach somewhere, and suddenly in a room full of people, I could be sitting here right now and feeling completely lost. It's strange. And I think the scariest part is you don't know when it sort of
creeps up on you. What were you worried the media would say?
It never once occurred to me that she's a movie star, and it never once occurred to me. She was my daughter, and I knew she has to be treated and she has to get all right. That was my priority.
But you did feel the media would be cruel?
Yes.
And snide?
And that was the only reason why I tried to keep as much as possible. I tried to keep it under wraps at that point of time, until she was ready or we were ready to talk about it ourselves.
Let me just ask your mom, and I want to actually then, we are going to call a couple of other people who are coming up today, I think moved by Deepika, to also talk about their own experiences. Ujjwala, as a mother, what for you was the most frightening part of all this? Did you from the beginning feel she can get better? Was there, were you already aware enough to believe that? Did you have to go through a whole period of learning, reading up, talking to doctors? What was your own journey as parents like?
No, fortunately, I have seen a couple of relatives within the family who've had this problem, so I could detect the symptoms and I knew what it was. And I was very definite that she could be treated in no time and she could be all right in no time. I had that self-belief and faith.
So you didn't go through that denial that people sometimes go through, that it's not depression?
Not at all, not at all. I was very clear, and I knew instantly that this had to be depression, which I don't know, maybe the medical experts may be able to tell me, but I would like to believe that it comes to people when there's a combination of mental and physical stress.